And we are live with another edition of All In on St. Mary's Sports, hosted by Gabby Higgins. Hi, Gabby. So good to see you. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much. Happy to be back for another episode of All In on High School Sports St. Mary's. I'm joined tonight by 2013 St. Mary's High School graduate Ryan Monahan. Mr. Monahan was a standout athlete in both football and basketball at St. Mary's. Mr. Monahan, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Let's start all the way back to your beginning time of high school. Why did you choose to come to St. Mary's?
I was actually close to going to St. Peter's Prep, and then I went to freshman for a day at St. Mary's, and I loved the actually like the individualized attention. It was great. It's they talk about it being a small school and like the individual attention that you get both from teachers, coaches. And I had known some of the people in the school from playing basketball in the CYO program. Um, so I kind of got introduced to the school through that. I think that's how I set up the freshman for a day. And I went, and I mean, that day just kind of solidified it for me. Like the other students, the other athletes, everybody was just, they loved it. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only freshman for a day there, too. I think there were a couple other kids from my class who I hadn't met yet before that day. But I could kind of see that like we were building a little bit of a community, especially because the classes before, the one class ahead of us and two classes ahead of us were like very, very strong, both in football and basketball. Um, so, that's as far as sports, that's, kind of what intrigued me. And then school wise, I mean, it was small enough where I was going to get to know all my teachers. All my teachers were going to get to know me. They had the courses that I wanted, and I'd be able to participate in all the clubs that I wanted. So
I completely
kind of had
agree with that.
everything that I wanted.
Yeah, it's small, so it's like it's very interactive. You get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Now, going based off of that question, how would you describe your overall experience as a student athlete at St. Mary's?
Oh man, I mean, I wouldn't trade my experience for anything. Realistically speaking, I was very fortunate where I was able to participate in a lot of clubs,
Mhm.
student council, plus playing two sports. I actually ran track my freshman year too. And I was able to, participate in the AP classes, the honors classes. Like I said, I got to like get all my course load in. The best thing was that especially like my senior year, our class was so great. And actually the grade after me, we were really close with as well. Um, so, as great as the academics and the athletics, all the fun camaraderie, community stuff, the people that I got to meet along the way. I mean, I'm still very close friends with a lot of those people who I wouldn't have met if I didn't go to St. Mary's. Um, but without St. Mary's, I wouldn't have met them. So that was probably my favorite part of high school was the bringing together of the group of friends and teammates, classmates that we had.
That's great. Now let's talk about your senior year of football and basketball. In the fall of 2012, your senior football season, you guys set the school record for most wins in a season with 11. Can you tell us about that season? What did it mean to be the quarterback of that team?
Um, it was just, I mean, indescribable. We had such a great group of players, coaches, and guys who came up, like, who I at that point obviously had known most of them for 4 years. But from the second, like, we all kind of got together freshman year, we had a good freshman team. And then we kind of looked around like, we could be really good in the next couple of years. We all started as juniors. And then
Yeah.
or most of us started as juniors, I guess. And then we came back senior year and kind of did all the things that we had talked about. Like we beat the teams that we were supposed to beat. We kind of like we installed our offense. We were dominant on defense. Guys were playing all over the place. And we had very few guys who actually had to play both ways because we just had so much talent all over. Um, and I was very fortunate to get to be the quarterback of that because it wasn't like, you know, I or anybody else on the team had to like go out and win games just because we had so many guys all over the place. Like and we just fed off each other too. I mean, it was like, I remember one game we were up and we were just trying to run the clock out, and we handed it off trying to, kill time, and it ended up going for 97 yards for a touchdown, just because it was like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
so being the quarterback of that team was really a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in practice. We worked like crazy. And we actually, as far as high school football goes, I feel like we probably studied and met and installed a lot more than other high school teams. We watched a lot of film. But yeah, being the quarterback of that team, that was like, the most fun you could have playing high school sports.
Like the cherry on the top there.
Oh yeah, it was a really fun season.
And to follow up with that, what lessons did you learn as a quarterback that season that helped you on later in life?
Just to kind of lead by example. I mean, I was always kind of like a little bit more of just like a vocal person, generally speaking. But until I really started putting the work in and demonstrating, like, I remember with Coach Fern, he was on the staff my senior year, and we would go out before practice for like an hour before practice, and I would come in before practice soaked in sweat. And I had gotten all my individual work in, and that was the first time where I was kind of like, wow, like, you got to actually go do it. You can't just ask other people to do it. So just learning how to put the work in was probably the really best thing I learned that year.
The little things. Now to talk about your time as a Gale in basketball. You were a guard. How did playing quarterback in football help you on the basketball court?
Yeah, it was interesting because I had two different head coaches in high school, Coach Stone for freshman and sophomore year, and then Coach Gash junior and senior year. And I don't know, because I had known Coach Gash for a long time, so it wasn't exactly what I expected, but it ended up being like, just as good. But as far as playing quarterback and being a guard, there are a lot of similarities, just making sure you're distributing the ball around. And I was never like a prolific scorer or anything like that, but I kind of just did whatever I felt like I could to help the team win, whether it was, rebounding, playing defense, handling the ball. But it was kind of the same mentality for me, where it was do whatever the team needs you to do that day. And it was the same thing on the football field as it was on the basketball court. Do what you got to do to win.
Yeah, that's great. Now, after graduation, you chose to continue your athletic and academic career at Wagner College. What made you choose Wagner?
Kind of similar things to what made me choose St. Mary's. First of all, it's obviously a combination of things. Like when you're choosing a college, you kind of have to choose the best overall situation. Like Wagner was a place I could have seen myself going, even if I wasn't playing football. They had a great business program, which I know I wanted to study. They were close proximity to New York City, which was where I wanted to have a business career eventually. I knew that they had a really good network. The funny thing about Wagner was it's a really small school. Excuse me. It's a really small school, but they have like a sneaky big network. So, I had never really heard of Wagner until they came to recruit me. And then I was talking to people throughout the recruiting process, and I would like mention Wagner, and people would be like, oh, I know somebody who went there, or I went there, or my nephew goes there, or so on and so forth. So then you end up doing more and more research. It wasn't far from home. It's like 40 minutes from home. It's a beautiful campus in like an urban setting, but once you're on the campus, you would have no idea. Plus, the biggest thing was playing football. Like I was going there to play football on top of everything else. So, like I said, it was a school that I could have seen myself going to even without playing football, but that kind of that played a big role.
Yeah. Okay, now you're currently Wagner's Director of Football Operations. Can you tell us a little bit about what your job entails?
So that was my role while I was in grad school, actually. I was a graduate assistant. Um, I was the director of football operations for 2 years after I graduated, and
Okay.
while I was getting my master's. And that was a lot of fun. It was an experience I didn't expect to have, but the opportunity kind of just came about. Towards the end of my undergrad career, I tore my labrum in my throwing arm. So my career was basically cut short. Not that it was really going anywhere anyway, but um, so I ended up taking a graduate assistant, you know, job role and becoming the director of football operations. So what I did was I handled all of the logistics for the football program. So schedules, calendars, buses, flights, food, hotels, like anything that you could imagine that comes with managing a Division 1 football program that isn't actually X's and O's and being on the field, was kind of up to me. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. It taught me a lot. And I ended up getting my master's in 2018. So I had that job for 2 years. And after I graduated, I went into finance. So that's where I am now.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know, like you said before, like you want to go to a college where even like if let's say like your sport doesn't work out, like you still see yourself going there, and that's work great.
Yeah.
That's
And
great
people
for
would
you.
always tell me that when I was in high school. I was kind of like, I kind of poo poo it a little bit because I'd be like, I want to play sports. That's it. And I'm going to play sports if I want to play. And then exactly what everybody warned me about happened. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
halfway through my college career, I tore my labrum. So I spent a year rehabbing. The rehab didn't go as well as I expected, so I ended up getting surgery. And then by then, it was kind of a done deal. Um,
Yeah.
but I was lucky because I was able to stick around the program and be a student assistant. So I actually helped the equipment guy, the director of football operations before me, and the offensive coordinator. So then, when my undergrad tenure was up as a student, that was when the opportunity kind of came about. I was familiar with the program. I was kind of familiar with the behind the scenes, and so they gave me a shot, and I took it, and I did the best that I
Ran
could
with
with
it.
it. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. I got to experience a lot of cool things that a lot of people don't get to do. And just like going to St. Mary's, it was more about the people than it was anything else. Like I
Mhm.
met so many cool people that I would never have met if I hadn't done that.
That's great. So let's say there's a prospect student athlete considering St. Mary's for high school. Why should they choose St. Mary's?
Um, it is small and personal, and I don't know why, but sometimes people think that that's like a negative thing, which I think is the complete opposite. As you could tell by the two schools I went to, St. Mary's and Wagner, I really appreciated the small and personal. I had personal relationships with every teacher. The teachers all knew every student name. All the coaches knew everybody's name, and every student knew all the other students. It was such a tight knit community that you're really going to get individual attention that you want, but more importantly, that you probably need, whether you realize it or not. If you're struggling or if you're not living up to your potential, somebody in that school is going to say, hey, you can do this better. You should be doing this instead of doing that. And if you're not going to get that at a school that's, one of these big regional schools or, even the bigger private schools, St. Mary's was really a place that, um, yeah, I mean, anything that I needed was available. And I think that everybody who I graduated with would probably say the same thing.
Mm. You don't understand how much you can get out of a small school. Like it's like the little things that just amplify it.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't really, like plan to go to St. Mary's necessarily. Um, and then I went for freshman for a day and I saw exactly like what I just spoke about, the individualized attention, the small classes, everybody knew each other. It's like walking around a small town where, you walk down the main street and everybody kind of nods to each other. You're familiar, you wave, everybody's friends with everybody.
Mhm.
It was a nice place to be. And like I said too, when you weren't doing what you needed to do, when you weren't like living up to your potential, there was somebody there to guide you in the right direction and make sure you did what you had to do.
That's great. Now, before I let you go, I do this little thing where it's like I ask you 3 rapid fire questions. You just have to answer them as quick as possible.
Okay.
You ready? Okay. First one, what was your go-to pregame hype song?
Oh, right above it, Drake and Lil Wayne.
Okay, I like that one. What's your favorite drink?
The Liquid IV strawberry banana.
That's valid. Okay. And the last one, what was your favorite memory at St. Mary's? It could be either like in the sports, at St. Mary's in general. Just what's your favorite memory?
So my
that you had?
senior year in basketball, we were the 20 seed in the Bergen County Jamboree, which is like the county tournament.
Mhm.
And
Oh yeah, I've heard.
we were the 20 seed and we went all the way to the Final Four. And I mean, that run, like it wasn't one individual thing. I would love to say that it was something in football because I had so many awesome memories in football all 4 years, but especially that senior year. That run in basketball for like maybe 2 weeks. It was great. We were the underdog every game. There were 21 teams in the tournament. We were the 20 seed. We made it to the top 4. And yeah, that was probably my favorite memory.
That's great. There's a lot of hype about the basketball games.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I'm new to it, so I'm gonna see this firsthand this season.
Yeah, it's
so.
awesome. And it's funny, the gym being smaller and tight, it's like it almost makes it more exciting. It's so loud.
Yeah.
And all the fans are so close to the court. I mean, we played in so many basketball games. Like my senior year, we played against Woodridge. It felt like the fans were on the floor. And
Yeah.
it gets exciting. And Gash gets into it. Like Gash
Oh yeah, I've heard.
like hypes it up. So it's awesome.
I've heard. Mr. Monahan, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was really nice to have you on the show, and that about wraps it up.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Ryan, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. Gabby, another great show. And we'll see you again next week for another installment of All In on St. Mary's Sports. Thank you so much for watching.